I'm here to show you a brand new craft club. This one is number 4, and this is all about die cutting techniques. Now we've got, of course, our insert index. It's giving you a little idea as to what you can be making, but when it comes to the actual contents, you've got 76 pieces that are included within this set. Now, that looks good, but let's see it in all its glory when it comes to its packet. So we're going to go straight in. As you know by now, it's going to sit lovely within your binder. But let's open it up, zip it all the way round, and we're going to take out all of the contents. Now what you have got when it comes to month number 4 die cutting techniques is 11 incredible techniques within this booklet here. So it's going to step you through, it's got that index to start with, and then step by step, whether you're doing any layering with your dies, whether you're going to be cutting out with the stamps included, your gatefolds, all these different ones, 11 in total are included within the booklet. But then when it comes to the actual contents, what you've got is stamps. Now, although this is all about die cutting, you're going to be using the dies in conjunction with the stamps of this cute little bear. You've got the sentiments as well. Then we've got printed papers. Now, when it comes to the printed paper here, you're getting 12 sheets. Now, you're getting 6 designs and you're getting 2 of each. So I've just got 1 of each to show you here. But look at that freshness. Look at that floral, the intensity of designs. When it comes to all of these ones here, what you can see is edge to edge. You've got that green work, you've got pink work, you've got some lilacs as well as red, but beautiful florals for your backdrop. So that's your pattern paper. Then we're going to go into the metal dies. Now, when it comes to the metal dies, in total, you've got 18. Now, you've got options when it comes to month number 4 die cutting techniques. You can do the edges of your cards and your box sets and your concepts, but then what you've got is you've got that framework, you've got that mats and layers, you've got that aperture, you've got the Edgeable that will work with that stamp I showed you, banners, sentiment, florals, 18 in total, all held together in this pack. That's included. Then what we're also going to be giving you is your cardstock panels. Now, when it comes to these ones here, these are 8 by 8, they are white, construction weight, so they're going to enable you to die cut, they're going to enable you to layer, to colour, all of that included as well. 8 sheets of those ones. Then what we've also got is our cardstock panels. Now, what I mean by the panels, what we've got within these ones, these are 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and these are 6 of them in total. These are going to work with your layering dies. You might, of course, want to stamp onto them. It's up to you, but you've got them there to start you off when it comes to the techniques. We want some colour card, don't we? Well, we've got colour card included too. So when it comes to your colour cardstock, what you have got is 8 by 8 in size. You've got 4 colours, but you are getting 2 of each, so that's giving you 8 in total. So you've got the gorgeous green, you've got the teal, the ruby red, you've got that musty sort of purple. So you've got 4 colours, 2 of each, that's giving you 8. These are a matte colour cardstock. That's there. But we've also given you, when it comes to your colour cardstock, we're giving you your 4 by 4 colour cardstock panels. Now, you have got 12 in total. So you've got 4 pastel tones, but what you are getting is 3 of each one. So you've got that rose sort of pastel pink, you've got that peachy, that light tan, as well as that lighter green. So within these ones, you're getting 12 of them, 4 colours, but you're getting 3 of each one. Then you need your card blanks, don't you? Well, they're included, but not just any shape card blanks. What you are going to be getting is 2 of your gatefold card blanks, so they're already done for you, 2 of them. You've then also got your 4.25 by 5.5 inch card blanks, 2 of them as well. And then we're also giving you your card blank. This is what we call a tent fold, and that is because it opens at the top as if it is a tent fold. You've got that one included too. That one there is your white cardstock too. It is a matte card, all of them are, so you can ink and distress. And then last but by no means least, you've got your square cardstock as well. So each of these card blanks, 4 different designs, you are getting 2 of each of these ones, so that's giving you 8 in total. And then you're also going to be getting all of your envelopes, size to fit each of the different card blanks as well. So everything combined when it comes to all of the techniques that you're going to follow, all the techniques you're going to do, whether you're going to be using the stamps, whether you are going to be using just the dies, whether you're then going to be using all of them together, you can absolutely do that when it comes to your craft kit. This is month number 4. This is all about die cutting techniques in conjunction with that booklet where you've got 11 to step you through right from the start, right to the end. Follow on, use your creativity, and that all comes from a brand new craft club. Now, when it comes to our craft club, which is month number 4, and it's all about die cutting, we're going to be making this tentfold card. Now, with this one here, we're going to be using the layers, the edgeables, as well as the butterflies too. So let's set that one to the side for now, and then let's bring in our card blank. So I'm going in with that tentfold card blank. Now remember, when it comes to this one here, you are getting 2 of each of the card blanks. So to put that into perspective, that one there is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now what I have done is I've brought in the cardstock panels that you get included, as well as one of the white ones. Now what I've also done on the back, so it's easier for you to follow, this one here, I'm going to cut this to 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So let's go 5 1/2, which is pretty much the size of it anyway, by 4 1/4. Now, I don't need to worry about my pencil writing because we're not going to see it, but it's nice for you to see there. And then when it comes to the actual colour cardstock, for this one here, I'm going to cut this to 4 inches by 5 1/4. So let's go 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then that's given me that layer. Now when it comes to this one here, what you will see, it's the same height, but the actual white cardstock is a little bit wider. But don't worry about that because we're going to actually use our die just in a moment. So I'm going to move all these little bits to the side for now. So let's bring in that piece that we've just cut a moment ago. And then we're going to go in with the dies. Remember, 18 dies included, 4 edgeables, and then you've got all this decoration as well, apertures, mats and layers, you've got butterflies, edgeables, tags, etc., etc. Now, I'm going to go in for this dainty little ditzy edgeable here. Now, when it comes to this one here, you've got your die cut edge at one side, you've got the detail that cuts in the middle, but on this side here, there's no cutting edge, so that will stay into my cardstock. So what I'm going to do for this one here is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go right to the side here, bringing in my low tack tape, and then what we can then do is I'm just going to budge that in. I'm going to use my glass mat as a little helping aid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in 1/2 inch. So I can see on my glass mat, I'm coming in 1/2 inch. This is enabling me to keep it completely straight. You can use a pencil line if you want to, that's up to you. But then what we're going to do is we're going to run that through our Gemini. Now I'm going to go in with my Gemini plates here. I'm using the Gemini 2, so for these ones here, it is your 2 white plates, which are your cutting plates. So I'm going to go down onto that one here. We're then going to go in with our frosted shim. We are then going to go in with our magnetic shim, and then I'm going to go over the top with my top cutting plate once again. Now what I'm going to do is, because that die cut is just towards the top, I'm going to feed that in, and I'm going to let it do its thing. Lovely, smooth, quiet when it comes to that die. Now it's gone over that last part of the die cut. I could hear that because it's a distinctive thud. So what I'm then going to do is pause it and then reverse it. Now, of course, I could just let that go through, but, you know, just save an extra little bit of time for a few seconds. We can then feed that one back out. So what we can then do is then let's lift that one up, and then we can then take that one away. We are then left with, look at that, already crisp and clean and perfect when it comes to that edge. Now, that is the difference between a really clean cut, smooth edge, which is lovely. I like them a lot. But by going in with a decorative edge, it just gives it that little bit extra oomph, that little bit extra luxury. And if you're selling your projects and your cards, this could then enable you to get an extra, you know, couple of pound or cents when it comes to your actual cards. But that's one side. What we're then going to do is I'm going to take this one off. Now you can come along with your die release tool if you want to. I'm just going to tap all that excess out here. I'm then going to flip and rotate my plates. That just means then we're also going to get those even plates, and then we're just going to go back in with our card. So this time I'm going to take another piece of low tack tape. I'm going to come back onto my glass mat once again because it's easier for me to visually line up. I'm going to come in about a ½ an inch once again, same as the other side. What I'm also going to do is just to the bottom here, I'm just going to sit that. Now I can see by the time that's cut, that's going to sit nicely and it's going to give me a blue border down the side. So what I can then do is lift this one up. We're then going to go onto our plates once again. Same plate configuration, frosted, magnetic, and then we're just going to go in with our top plate here. So we can then run that one through. Now that is, of course, as you can see, the Gemini 2. If you're using our OG Gemini, it's the same plate configuration. It just means that instead of it being the white plates, it is then your clear plates, but it's still your frosted and your magnetic. So then we can then remove all of these ones out. So if we lift all of them, we can then see that we've now also got another beautiful die cut edge at the side here. Now that means when I bring in this layer here, it's the same that you can see left and right, beautifully matched, beautifully edged. All that I need to do is just come along, because I made sure my card was a little bit longer than needed, so I've got extra wiggle room when it comes to the die cut. Remember the height of my blue, which was 5 1/4. So all that I'm going to do is I'm then just going to take a little bit off the bottom and then a little bit off the top here, just so I meet at the 5 1/4 again. And what that then just does, it makes it symmetrical top and bottom. So I've got the same distance at the top as well as the bottom. And then there's my layer with the blue in the back, and it's a nice finishing touch instead of it just being a straight edge. So for these ones here, let's go in with my card blank, and I'm going to go in with my adhesive now. So I'm going to go over the back. Now for this one, you can use your dotty tape runner if you want to and go over the detail. For me, I don't do that. I like to go around the edges with my tape runner, and then the actual die cut pieces, I like to leave quite free. And then that just means you might get a little bit of lift coming from the top, which then just gives it an extra bit of visual happiness, so to speak, because it's giving you a lot of different depth because you've got elements that are lifting up. If you want to stick them down, as I say, that's up to you. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the back here with my tape runner once again, and then that one can go onto my card blank. Sit that on my card blank, press that in. Now I can set that one to the side. What I'm then going to do is let's go in with a piece of white. I'll actually do this on a piece of blue to show you. I'm going to do the same with another piece of blue. And then what I've got here is a piece of pink. Now when it comes to the sizes of these, it's nothing specific. What these are just big enough to fit some of these. So I'm going to go in with that banner. I'm going to go in with this word love. So let's take these ones off here. And then what I'm also going to do is take the butterfly. Now the butterfly comes in two ways. So if you use them together, that is then going to give you a separate full butterfly. If you use the outer die on its own, that gives you a silhouette. And if you use just the actual detail on its own, that will cut into your cardstock. So I'll show you those just in a second because I've got a few of them all cut. So what we're going to do is let's go in with the two of them together. And then I'm going to layer them and centralize them into the middle here. Same with the love, and then same with this little banner. We're going to go back in with our plates here. So if we go back in with our Gemini plates, and then what I can do is do 1, 2, and I can do all of these at the top. Means I can do my pause and reverse, and just speed that one up a little bit. So frosted, and then of course our top plate. Leave that sitting up onto the base and then just letting it fall through. We can then do the pause. We can then do the reverse. Then what we'll then do in a moment is we'll repeat that step that I've already done but we'll show you that just in a second. We'll let that come out. And then what we've then got is we've got our butterfly die cut in detail within that pink, so you can see how that looks, which is beautiful. Now, if I use that outline die on its own, what you're then going to be left with is you're going to be left with an outline. So let's pop them to the side, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this one through, and then we can show you the two of them together. So all that I'm doing is going to go in and tape it. So this is giving you that silhouette feel. So even if you go in with a piece of dark card, maybe navy or black, beautiful silhouette feature. But for this one, we're just going to use the white. So feed that up to the Gemini as well. Then all that I'm going to do while that's going through, just to the side of me, actually, do you know what? Let's just let that carry on through, because you can see in a second exactly what I'm doing at the side of me here. Let's bring this one out. We've now got our outer butterfly. So there is just the outline butterfly. Then if I come along with the pink that I've already cut, you can do yourself a matte layer. So you can use it as a silhouette, you can use it completely out, or of course you can cut in if you want. So that's the banner, and I've done it in blue, and I've also already done one in white, exactly the same plate configuration. And then what I'm going to do here is if I come in now with my love die, so we can then tap that out. You've got that beautiful font that says love, and I've also already done that in white as well. Now, the one step that I have skipped that you will see here. Now, when it comes to the butterflies, I've done the silhouette in peach and die cut out the detail in white. I've done the same with the green and then the white. I've done it in that sort of light tan in the white. And then what I've done here is I've done the backdrop in pink and then also die cut the butterfly in white. So that means I can go in now. I'm going to use my tacky glue. Now, when it comes to the butterfly, what I like to do is just pop the glue onto the body of the butterfly on the back of the detailed die cut, because that means then I've got extra depth because I can lift the wings up, but I'm still getting that colour just following through. So there's that one. And then we're going to do the same when it comes to your green. So that can then go over the top as well. If you want to secure the whole lot, you can absolutely do that. If you want to use your dotty tape runner, you can absolutely do that. It's entirely up to you. But by doing it this way, what it also does is it gives you additional lift, additional depth without the need of any foam pads or glue gel. That being said, I am going to use some foam pads, but if you're conscious of the cost of posting, then this is a nice way to get depth and dimension without adding any foam pads or your glue gel. So let's go in with this last one here, and then we're just going to go along into the back of the body and layer this one up. We're going to then sit that one into the center, and then we're just going to secure that once again. So that's there, and then that one is there. Sit them to the side. And then what I would always recommend, always optional, but it's always worthwhile doing, is a drop shadow. It looks absolutely spectacular, and it's very simple to do. And all that is doing 2 die cuts, one light, one on a darker scale, and then all that you're going to do is overlay them ever so slightly. Now, how I do it, so I like to visually, I hover right over the top, and then I like to pull down to the bottom right-hand corner, just a few millimeters. So I hover, and then I pull down, and then I just pop that into place. And then what we've then got is our love die cut in white, and then we've got that gorgeous blue drop shadow that you can just see here. Now that works with any colour on the back, but it's always worthwhile doing if you like that look. And then last but by no means least, we're going to do the same when it comes to our banner. Now when it comes to the banner, just add our adhesive. I'm just going to lift that one up, and I'm going to do the same. Hover, pull down to the bottom right-hand corner. That's just a preference that I like. You can go in any direction, but I think it looks more natural with that drop shadow towards the left and that top. And then what we can then do is we can then bring in our layers once again here. So we've got these ones. Last thing that I've done here is I've gone in, so within those colour card strips, I've cut some strips here that are 1/2 inch by 4 inches. Now the height is irrelevant, I've just purposely made them at 1/2 inch because I'm going to go in with my scissors, and then all that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in at a rough angle, I'm going to cut. I'm going to do these ones at different lengths, so it doesn't have to be anything specific, just different lengths, 4 of them, using your 4 colours. And then what we can then do is bring all this together. So I'm going to go onto the back here. Let's go in with my tape runner. This is another lovely way to add depth without actually having any foam pads or glue gel, because it's given something else for the eye to focus on. Something at the back, something in the mid, something in the foreground, but really it's all on one level. So I'm then going to offset that one to the side here. I'm then going to come in with this one here, so this one is a little bit longer. So what we can do is go that one that way. And then what we can do, this one here, I'm going to make that a little bit shorter. And then that one can go just to the side. And that one can go on with our tape as well. I would personally, I would have them either going to the left or to the right. You can change them if you want, to one way, to the other way, but for me visually it's more pleasing them all in that one direction, but it's up to you. And then all that we need to do is just finish assembling this card. So I'm going to go back in with my tacky glue, and I'm going to go on the back of the love. Now I'm not going to go the full way because I don't need to. I only need to go on to a part of it. Now it's going to sit on that banner, but what it drop shadow does as well is it actually breaks up your love against that banner. So instead of the white just sinking in, it breaks it up. And then let's go in with our foam pads now, which is optional, which is up to yourself. And then we're going to go onto the back here, and then we're going to add 2. And before you actually set them into place, what to do is just sit them down. So I'm going to go there, I'm going to go there, let's go into that one there, and then let's offset that one. When you're happy with them, what we can then do is then we can then go and commit to the stick, so to speak. These ones also add in foam pads because I like that additional depth, but please remember, because you've got the already added depth with the wings, because you've only glued in the body, it's not necessary to do that. So let's go in with our last few. So that one can then go into here. And then when it comes to butterflies, what I would say is the reverse of what I've said with these ones. If you are going to do something that is an even number, such as your 4s, I would then do 2 one way and 2 the other way. It's just having those wings fluttering away. It looks more natural, 2 one way, 2 the other way. But then we can go in with that final one. We can then take the backing off. I'm then just going to set that one there. I'm then just going to pull up these wings there, there, and then there. We can set all that out of the way. And then there we go. We've got our lovely tentfold card that we've made using month number 4, which is the Craft Club, and it's all about die cutting techniques. Now, when it comes to Craft Club month number 4, all about die cutting techniques, it's not just cards that you can make. What about lovely gift boxes? You can absolutely do that. This has all been made using the cardstock, the white panels, the dies from month number 4 die cutting techniques. So what we're going to do, we're going to go in and we're going to then start the bases of our box. Now these are the 8x8 white panels that come included. So what I've done is I've already gone in and scored on the box base side at 1.5 inches all the way round. So that was box base, 1.5 inches all the way round. And then for the other one, which is also 8 by 8, I've also scored at 1.5 inches, but on the box lid side. Now, what I've already done here as well is I've already gone in and just cut out the notches. So very, very simple, the simplest, straightforward way to create a box. So if I then bring in, which is my box lid part, I'm then going to go in with that Edgeable die here. Now, when it comes to the dies, you do have options as well, because you could be using any of these ones here, maybe that one or that one, because you need to take into account the depth, but you can have a look and you can have a wee play yourself. So the edge of the die, what I'm going to do is right up to the edge of that panel of the box. And then what we can then do is bring in our Gemini plates. Now, what I am going to do, you can do it that way, of course. It's just going to take that a little bit longer, which is only a few seconds. So you can turn it up towards the top, but a little bit of advice, turn it just at a slight angle. So instead of it connecting face on, what you're doing is you're easing your die cutting over elements of the die, and it's just giving it a nice, smooth, crisp, clean cut. So we can go frosted, magnetic, and then our top cutting plate. So what we can then do is then just feed that one up to our Gemini. So we're just going to let that do its thing, and then, well, I've gone and I can just let it go all the way through. You can do that pause and reverse. So as this one then comes out, good thing with the Gemini and Gemini 2, you've got that option. So I can then remove that one, take it to the side, and then what we can then do is carefully take off that die. So we're just going to then take our low tack tape and we're just going to gently peel that one off. That's then going to leave us with that die cut edge. So lovely to create boxes, but then why not go in with that little bit of a different edge? So then what we're going to do is I'll do one more edge, because you might think, well, when it comes to this one here, what exactly are you going to do here? Because you've got the tabs. So taking into account where the folds are, you're going to do exactly what I done a moment ago. So we're just going to pop that right up to the edge of that panel here. Let's take that excess piece of low tack tape that I've already got, and then that one we're then going to go in, and once again we're going to go in with our Gemini plates. I'm going to flip and rotate them, turn it at a slight angle, frosted, magnetic, top plate, and then we're going to go up to the Gemini. So this time what I am just going to do is let's do pause, and then what we can then do is do that reverse, and it just saves you that few extra seconds. So as then that comes out, that's me then showed you one panel of your box lid and also the panel side with the tabs. So then what we'll need to do is, if I take this one off, because we've cut into what are the tabs, that means that this actual die cut piece is then going to be still in play. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to come along with my scissors, and where we've got the edge of that die cut, you're just going to follow along and connect it up. We're going to do the same onto that one there, and then there is the edge where you've got the tabs of your box. So you're going to repeat what I've just done there, and then you're going to repeat what I've just done on that side there, and then this is going to give you your box lid. So you've got your die cut piece all the way round. Now, before I come along and assemble this, it's always best to then come along and decorate it before you assemble the box. So let's go in with our layers. So I'm going to go in now with a piece of the white cardstock panel. And then for this one, what I'm also then going to do is I'm going to come along with that same die. So for this one, we can then take our actual die cut piece, and then that one can just sit to the top here. And then we're going to then tape that in, bringing in our plates, and then we're then just going to follow the plate configuration, lead that in, and I'm going to do the pause and reverse. Straight away that's gone over your die cut piece, so that means that I can then do the reverse, take that one out, and then we're just going to turn the die each way. So we're going to lift this one up, so we're going to then carefully peel that one off, like so. We're going to take our die cut piece off, take any excess, and then what we're then going to do is we turn it around. We're then just going to match it up. Now, don't worry about the edges here, about getting them perfect, getting it that mitered look. Don't worry about that whatsoever. What I'm then just going to do is tape that, make sure it's straight. Let's just add a little bit more into here. And then what we can then do is do our layers. Now, by doing it this way here, this is going to be a panel that will then go on the top of the box. Now, if I refer back to your simple layers, your square layers, your straight layers, which look lovely and they look effective. However, what about just using that Edgeable? Go in with that Edgeable, create an ornate looking edge to the project. So we can then take that one out. So we've already got our corner coming into play. So I'm just going to then flip and rotate. Let's take that die once again. We're going to marry up to the top. We're then just going to go up to the edge. Let's then tape, secure. So let's do tape, secure. Let's take all of that out. We're going to layer up, then we're going to feed that through. So as that then goes through there, that's gone over the die straight away. Do that reverse, and then as that then comes out, we just have that one panel left to do. So then this is then going to complement and coordinate the edge of your boxes. And you see you've already got that beautiful corners to the die cut pieces. And then last but by no means least, what we can then do is then we can then come along with that last edge. We're going to flip and rotate. We're going to go up to the top. We're then just going to then press that in. We're going to take that last piece. You can use fresh low-tack tape if you want to. I'm just going to get what I can out of this part of the tape. Let's feed that one through as well. That's then going to go over that die cut piece there. Pause, reverse. And it's this sort of thing where the actual pause and reverse feature of the Gemini really come into play. Part of the reason as to why I wanted to do all 4 edges as well. To show you, at first glance, you may think it can be a time-consuming element to do, but really, using that pause and reverse, there is your layer. Now, you would think that was a full frame die, but you've done it yourself using the Edgeable. So what I've also done is I've gone in with one of the pattern papers and cut it to 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, because that's then going to fit into the middle here. That's then going to then have our die cut panel over the top. Now when it comes to the center aperture is actually 3.5 by 3.5. So let's go in with these layers here. Now these layers are from your colored cardstock that you've got included. And what I'm going to do, and I've already written the measurements on the back of this one, we're going to cut that one to 3 by 3. And then this one, I'm going to cut to 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. That's because that's going to sit into the top. If I bring this layer back in here, that's going to sit over the top here. And then all that we need to do just before we assemble it is then let's go in with a few additional layers here. So I'm going to go in with the love, and I've got these pieces of colour card from the collection because we've got all this floral detail. So if I then take this one here, let's do that one, and then let's do that one. And then what we can also do is take one of these leaves here. Now when it comes to the leaves, let's take that other one, and the power of the Gemini, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to layer 2 over the top, and then we can then tape that down. And then I'm going to do the same when it comes to the leaves. This time, what I'm going to do, let's just fold that one over, and then I can then tape them into place. So they can then take these, because even although these are really small and diddy, what you have got is that versatility when it comes to the pressure of the Gemini, and it means that you can then do many layers at once. So let's do pink layer with that love as well, and then let's go in with our plates. What we're then going to do is we're going to pop one there, one there, one there, and so they don't move, let's take our low-tack tape. Nothing will ever stop you from taping to your plates. If you want to have that little bit extra comfort, knowing that they're not going to move by actually taping down onto your plates, please do feel free to do that. As that goes through, not only will that cut out the initial layer I want, it's also then going to die cut the layers underneath. Just let it do its thing by going all the way around to the edge. And then there's one last thing that we need to do before we assemble this, and that is just stamp a sentiment. So let's take these ones out and move them there for now. So what I've then got is we've then got our little banner here, and then I'm going to go in with this little sentiment. Now this says sent with love, but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use it all. I'm going to then go in with my stamping platform, and then we're going to go in with our ink. So let's stamp it up. But then what I'm going to do is if I bring this one in, I'm then going to come along, and then I'm going to go and I'm just going to stamp sent with. So I'm just going to offset the stamp. So I've now got sent with, and that's all that I'm going to do. Move that to the side. Now let's assemble this. So let's go in with our layers here, using our low tack tape. So we can then use our tape to get going. Now with it being a box, if you want to add extra depth to the top, you can do that. What we can then do is then layer that one onto our white layer. Let's bring that one in to here. Now, I've got a little bit of a black mark, but our sentiment's going to cover that, so I'm not worried about that. Tape again, all the way round. So when it comes to month number 4, being your die cutting techniques, this is all about, yes, the edgeables, die cutting sentiments, die cutting florals, but it's also about the mats and layers and bringing them together. So this one can then go over the top like so. We're then going to come in with our sentiment. So we've got our love, which is then being die cut twice because we've done it within the white, we've done it in the pink. We're then just going to pop these little bits out. If I then come along and we're going to then use our tacky glue to then do a drop shadow. So let's take that one, and then that one. And then there's that one. So let's take our tacky glue, and then we're going to go in with the pink on the top this time. Add that one onto here. Add that on. Bring that one in and overlay by doing a drop shadow. So get that layer initially started, and because I've used my wet glue, it means I can then maneuver that into place. So let's just pop that one on. And then all we need to do is we just need to come along with our sentiment, add that to the back. That's then going to sit into here. I'm just going to move it to the side so I don't see my black little finger mark. And because I've used the same pink, but by having that white drop shadow, it lifts it, kind of gives it that ellipse sort of feel. And then what I've also done as well is 2 little strips within one of the color coordinated card. So I'm just going to then snip that. That's at 1/4 of an inch. And then what I've just done is snip that at an angle. And then this one, what I'm going to do is let's then snip that a little bit higher. That can then go into there. And for these little strips, what I've done is I've used the colour cardstock on that base layer. So then this is where it all ties together. We can then bring in this last one. We can then add our tape on with there. That can sit into there. Let's just make that a little bit straighter. And add that on. Press that into place. And then let's just take our wee little flowers. So there's 1 and 1. So let's just separate that one. So you've got these diddy little flowers, which are great as little accents, little embellishments, little area fillers if you want to. So let's take that one and then that one, and then we've got our last one here. So let's take our leaves as well. And with these ones, what we can then do is add our glue gel. So we've got that maneuverability. Let's take our Scent with Love, and then freehand, I'm going to go in with my scissors. So I'm going to snip at about between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch into the middle. And then we can then create a little V at the side here. And then that one can then go into here with a foam pad. So let's bring that pad in, adding that extra bit of lift and elevating it. So that one can go into here. Take all these bits out, and then I'm just going to do dot, 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 and then that one flower can go there, that flower can go there, and then that one can go there, and then that one, and then that one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to offset one of the darker flowers. This one I'm going to do with a lighter flower, and I'll add those leaves just in a moment. But the last thing we just need to do is then just bring in these little panels. So these panels here are just going to fit onto the edge. So when it comes to the box, it is 3/4 of an inch by 4.5. So let's just add our tape. Add it into the side. If you want to mat and layer these, you can do that with a colour cardstock. But because this layer I haven't, I'm just going to follow through that design. So let's add that one, then let's add that one, and then last but by no means least, let's add that one. And then we just need to then take our panels and our tabs. We're going to add our glue, our adhesive of choice. We're then just going to take that one, fold it in, and even though you've die cut the edges of the box, they come together perfectly. And then there is the lid. So all that I'm then just going to do is if I just take my glue, and then I'm going to do one leaf there, one leaf there. That one can then pop underneath. So we're going to set that one here, that one here, and then we'll do one more, which is here. And then we're just going to tuck that one there, like so. Move that in. Let's just take that one, and then let's go in with our box base. That's then going to sit over the top, like so. Tuck it in, and then there we have then got our little box, which we've then created. We've done our mats and layers, we've used that decorative edge, we've used the florals, we've used that sentiment stamp, that love die as well, and it's a nice way to transform what would be a lovely but simple layered box into a decorative box using our Craft Club month number 4 die cutting techniques. With our Craft Club, month number 4, it is all about die cutting techniques, and that's exactly what we're going to do when it comes to this card. Now we've got so many options and layers when it comes to the die cutting here. So let's get started. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm taking one of the beautiful pattern papers that you've got within this collection here. Now with the printed papers, you're getting 12 in total. You're getting 6 designs, and then you're going to be getting 2 of each. Now for this one, I'm going to be cutting this to 5 by 5. I've written my little note there for you to see. So let's go 5 inches by 5 inches. Then this is actually going to be the background of my card. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to go in with a little bit of water reactive Bordeaux, and we're just going to enhance the edge here. So instead of giving it a colour card matting layer, we're just going to give it a faux inked matting layer. So then it reduces the weight, and then it's reducing that thickness as well, what will then be on the inside of the card, or the back of the card. So let's just go around the edge just here, and then that is all that I'm going to do when it comes to the edge of that card. So what I'm also then going to do, let's just take a little bit of that ink off, because I don't want to transfer that onto any of my layers. So I can set that one to the side for now. Then I'm going to go in with a card blank. So within this card blank here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 5.5 by 5.5 card blank that we've got. You've got 2 of these included. You've got 4 different card blank designs, and you've got 2 of each. Now when it comes to the 18 dies, these include 2 of these huge dies. Now you've got your matte and layer die, or then of course it could be your aperture die. You've then got your decorative die. Now this one on its own is then going to cut into your card, but if you use this layer as well, that's then going to remove it out of your card. So when it comes to this one, what I actually want is I want to die cut the decoration into my card blank. So that's going to stay within my card. But what I also want as well is I want to then just take one of these inner dies. That's then going to create that aperture within the middle that you can see here. You can see as well what we've also got is additional layers too. So you've got lots and lots and lots of different scope. What I am going to do in actual fact with this one, instead of going in with that decorative one, we're just going to use this one because this also gives you an inner cut. So let's move that to the side. Let's go in with our plates. Now for this one, let's open up our card blank because of course we don't want to cut through both layers, just the top layer. And then we can take our low tack tape. So let's centralize that into the middle of our card blank. And because this is what's going to come away, I'm just going to put my low tack tape into the middle here. Let's turn that one around, and then it is your normal plate configuration when it comes to the sandwich. So let's just feed that one up. So we're just going to let that do its thing. That's going to then just feed into the Gemini. And then because of the size of this one, I'm just going to let it do its thing and go all the way through to the other side. As this one then comes out, what we can then do is then move it and then take this layer out, take it out carefully. You've got that beautiful filigree framework within your card. Isn't that beautiful? So that's one layer. So let's set that to the side now. And then what we are going to be doing is then let's go in with another panel of the cardstock that you've got included. You could essentially as well use that layer if you want to, up to yourself. But let's then go in with our other options. So for this one, what I'm going to do is let's go in with this decorative frame. Now, if I use this one here, what's going to happen is that's then going to cut into this panel. So what I want is that outline die. Now, this could then release the die cut out. That could be a matte layer. That could be an aperture. So this is where the techniques within month number 4 really start to show off all the different things that you can be doing. So then let's just centralize that. What I'm going to do is move that up a little bit, centralize that with my low tack tape, secure it. We're just going to budge that in, and then once again we can feed that one into the Gemini. So as that one goes through, it's going to take it, and then it's just going to travel to the opposite side. So as then that one comes out, what we can then do is we can then do a few other die cut layers. So this one can come out here. Let's then pop this one out. We've got that layer. Now this layer I could keep and use that as an aperture if I straighten the layers. But what I do want is I want this decorative layer here. Now within that one there, you've got that decoration, but then let's not forget, you've also got this layer as well that you can be using elsewhere. You've got that lovely die cut edge. So if I take that one out, you can see there, you've got a lovely edge to that one that you could be using. So keep that in the pocket storage that you've got and then in your binder and use another time. So I can set that one to the side, and then what we can then do before we start to assemble this one, take some of that gorgeous ruby red card, take some of that lovely red card from that smaller pad selection, and then we're going to be using this outline die here. So this one can then go into that layer here, and I think I've just given myself enough and no more to die cut that. So that one can go there, that one can go there, and then what we're also then going to do is we're going to go back into this big layer that we had. So what we can then do is take that inner layer. Now look at that one. Really, really lovely design that I'm going to put into my pocket and I can be using elsewhere at another time. So then we're just going to take these bits out. We're then just going to move all them little bits out, pop that one in, secure that down. We can then go in with our plates. So it's still our base plate, frosted, magnetic, and then top plate. We can then feed that one through. Then what we can then do is we can then start to assemble this card. We're going to use the little stamp, so I'll show you that one just in a second. But as this one then comes out, what we can then do is use your adhesive of choice. So I can take that one. So I've got one panel here. Good to go. So let's just be careful with our low tack tape. We can then take our decorative layer here. So let's then take that one out. Now, as you can see within this one, it's cut into my card. So if you do that and your intention was for it to come out your card, Don't worry, all that you're then going to do is just go back in and then pop the die over the top. So you can do it either way. You can do it all in a oneer, or you can then come along and do it separate. So you've got that choice, and that's what it's about. It's about choice. It's about learning. You choose to learn in whichever way that you want. You can do whichever configuration that you want. It's up to you. So let's do this last die cut, and then this is then going to mean that we can then assemble this card. So as that one then goes through, that then takes that outer edge. I'm going to come back just to the side of me here with my card blank, so we're good to go. And then this means now we've got our lovely filigree frame. Lovely to pop into maybe your memory books that you'll have got previously, or maybe just as a standout frame to use within your crafty stash. So let's take these last little bitties out there. I'm just going to bring in my poke tool, and then that one can come out. That one can come out. This one here, if you're familiar with paper piecing, this is a lovely one to do selective paper piecing. Now what I mean by that is I wouldn't paper piece every little tiny piece, but maybe just paper piece that side and that side there, or maybe just the corners. This is when you're then just going to advance the techniques that you will then learn. So now that we've got all these good to go, so let's take that layer that we've then cut previously and gone around the edge with our Bordeaux water reactive ink. We're just going to add that with our tape runner. That can then go into the back just here. I'm going to then place that in and then press. We can then close that one over. Now to create stability when it comes to this one, what we're then going to do is we're then going to come in with this layer and overlay over the top. So for this one, what I'm going to do, you can use your dotty tape runner, but because this is really, really filigree, I personally like to use my tacky glue that you can see here in the little applicator. As I say, if you use your dotty tape runner, what you're going to do is just hold down section by section as you run over with your dotty tape runner. But either way, maybe you've got your spray that you like to use, or maybe you've got your double-sided adhesive sheets. Whatever you want to use, you can use. So a couple of dots on those inner framework, and then what we can do is overlay that straight over the top. So what we can then do is balance that over. Using our tacky glue means that we've got that maneuverability. So let's just move that into place. So we're just going to pop that in, move, position, and then press when you're happy, which I am more than happy with that one now. There we go. What we can then do is close that one over, and there's our framework. So then what we can then do is let's go in with that red layer that we've just done, then also go in with that framework. So let's just travel all the way around. And then this is where we're combining intricate die cuts with mats and layers and framework, because essentially what we will be doing in a moment is framing our main image. So let's press that down. Now this one, I actually want to lift up on some foam pads, so let's take them ones in. So all that I'm going to do is grab my pads here, and then I'm just going to put a couple on in each corner. So one in each corner and one in the center. So we can lift that one, and then that one. So if we then position this into the middle, and because the dies have been designed the way they are, they all complement. So whether they are sitting inside or nestled inside of each other, they all complement just wonderfully. And then what I've done is I've taken a piece of the white card, and it is 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And I've just created a little V with a pencil line. And all that I'm going to do is just cut that in with my scissors and cut that one in there. And then what I've also done as well, when it comes to this set here, you've got this cute little teddy bear as well as the sentiment. So using my alcohol-proof Noir Black, what I have already done is I've then stamped him out or her out, and then I've die cut using the dies. So if I bring these ones in, you've got two. And that's because these create edgeables as well. But if you want to die cut the full teddy bear out, line the dies together, and then that, once die cut, is then going to give you that shape there. So combining stamping and die cutting. I'm not going to colour because this one is really focused, of course, when it comes to your die cuts. So once you have coloured in, and the colours that I've used are tri-blends, and it's a combination of earth brown blend shades, pink pale shades, and also dark red blend. That is what I've used to colour in this cute teddy bear. And the last thing I need to do is take in this stamp. This is a paper hug. What a lovely little sentiment. Something a little bit different from, you know, with love or sending with loves. You've made this card out of cardstock and paper, and now you're sending. This is a paper hug. So that one can then go onto the side here. I'm going to go right to the side. This is a paper hug. Press that in, move that out, and then last two things. Let's bring this back in. Let's go in with our foam pads. So let's do a couple to lift. I'm going to do a couple on the back of the teddy bear. All these layers are always, always, always optional. You don't have to do them. But if you're going to be hand delivering or popping your card into a parcel, then you've got that more scope to come along and add extra height, because it's not going to affect the postage. So let's take these last two off here. That one with that cute teddy bear is done, finished, and then there we go. So we're combining the framework die, the aperture die, that elegant detail die. We're using the teddy bear, the die cut. To die cut the teddy bear, we're using the stamps as well and the papers with that card blank, which is 5.5 by 5.5 from Craft Club. It is month number 4, and it's all about die cutting techniques. With our Craft Club, this being number 4, and it's all about die cutting techniques, you can combine your die cutting with your stamping, and that is giving you an edgeable feature. Really, really cute. So this is what we're going to be needing to actually make this card, and that is one of the card blanks that you've got included. So with this one here, what I have done is I've gone for the 4.25 by 5.5. Now I'm going to be using the stamp set, and I'm also going to be using a couple of these dies. Now these two dies here, which look a little bit funny, are actually a die cut for the teddy bear. Now if you use them together, they'll die cut the full teddy bear. However, if you use them separately, they're going to create an edgeable feature on your card. So what I'm going to do is, I will only need one of these, but let's just take 2 of them out for now. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to use one of these edgeable dies as well. So with this one, let's go in with this one, and then I will need this one towards the end, so I can set that one to the side. Take that one to the side, and then what I'm also going to do now is let's open up our card blank. So let's open it up, and then I'm going to go in here. Now I'm going to pop my die right up to the edge of my card blank, and then what we'll need to do as well is we need to go in with our low tack tape. So we can then go, and what I am doing is I'm just making sure my card blank is straight as well as the teddy bear. So I'm going to then tape that down. Now this part here will actually essentially be waste, so that's why I've popped my tape there. What I'm also going to do at the same time is I've got a piece of our white cardstock that's included, and I've also cut this to 1.25 inches by 3 inches, and then let's go in with this die here. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to go at a bit of an angle. So if I go in at an angle that you can see here, any angle you want, it's entirely up to yourself, but what I'm then going to do is take my tape, and I'm just going to turn it around so that it actually die cuts, because if we have a look, the die cut edge runs along the bottom there. So I just want to make sure that I've got that in a free flowing way. So taping it down at the bottom there, because this is what's going to be die cut away. And then while we're doing all this die cutting at once, let's set that to the side. And then if I bring back in this die here, what I've done is I've taken another piece of the white card. I've cut it to 1.5 by 5.5, and all these measurements, they'll become apparent as we start to assemble them. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cutting edge right to the edge of my card. So right down at the bottom here, right down at the top. We can then secure that with my low-tack tape. And then with these layers, because I've got these all good to go, it means I can cut them together. So this one, what I can do is pop there, lift that one, and then this one, what I can also do is bring down here, like so. Now, I'm not worried about that overlap. Well, there we go. Fits just perfectly. Now, we've got 3 different die cuts going on, but it just means it's the same plate configuration for all of them. And because I've taken up the full size of the plates, it means I'm just going to let that do its thing. So fed that into the Gemini 2, it's then going to do all those layers, those 3 main cut layers that I am wanting to assemble the card. This is then giving us that edgeable feature with that teddy bear die. And then this is where the stamp will come into play in a moment. So we can take that layer off here. We can take this layer off, which is then giving us our little decorative cut at the base. And then this is also then giving us our little die cut edge too. Now, the only other die cut that I need to do is repeat that step. So I've got another one here, and I'm just going to do exactly the same. And then we can simply get on with assembling our card. So let's go and do what I've done before. So I'm going to go at the edge to the top, edge down at the bottom there. And then we're going to secure that with our tape. We're going to do the same at the bottom here. We're then just going to move that up. We can then let that do the cutting. So let's take that one, line and feed up to the Gemini. And then that can do that cut. What I'm just doing at the side of me, getting all my little bits good to go. I'm going to bring in some ink. And then now I can bring this one out. That's my last layer cut. What we can then do is maneuver and move all that out the way. Carefully take that one off here, take that one off, and then there we go. So I've got my additional die cut. So let's take this die cut off, and then what I'm going to do as a visual, you can then come along with a ruler if you want to, as well as the guides on your glass mat. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to line up, and then we can then go in. Now, where the top part of this die cut ends, what we can do is we can just extend that with a pencil line, and I'm going to do the same. So where that die cut edge ends, I'm just going to then bring that down. You don't have to do the pencil line if you don't want to. It's up to yourself. I'm doing that as a visual to show you where you're going to cut. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors now, and I'm going to cut up to that line. I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to cut down to that line. Now, essentially, that is our Edgeable. All we need to do is bring in our stamp. So let's bring in the teddy bear. I'm going to come in with my stamping mat and my stamping platform. So set that one on. Let's come in now with our stamp. What we can then do is press him or her on. I have already coloured one in, which I'll go over the colours. I have used tri-blend, so therefore I'm using my alcohol-proof ink pad, this one being Noir Black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit over the top. Now I am, with my eyes, I'm just hovering, and I can see the outline of the white against the contrast of the purple. It means I can see that white outline, and then I'm just going to come along, and then I'm just going to press. So if I press that into place, give that a good press, release that one. Now we've now got our super cute cuddly teddy bear on the edge of our card. Then using the tri-blends, which being dark red blend, pink pale shades, earth brown blend, and earth brown shades, this is how it's going to look. So you do your little bit of colour in, and then what we can do is start to do our layers. So I'm going to come in here with this pattern paper. So the pattern paper I've cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. and I've gone up 1/4 inch with that gorgeous green card, which remember, all of these ones are included within your craft club month 4. So that can be a matting layer for there. That's then going to go onto the backdrop. So let's add our tape, open our card, and then that's then going to sit nicely into here. Then the only other bit of stamping I need to do is bring that die cut layer that I've already die cut previous. Let's bring in our mat. Let's bring in that little sentiment. Now this one, it says, "This is a paper hug." So that's going to sit into here. We're going to bring back that same ink pad. We're then just going to ink it up. And then what we can do is we can press that one into place. So I'm just going to line that one up, get it where I want, and then stamp, "This is a paper hug." So although I'm not doing any additional alcohol colouring over the top, it's always my go-to ink pad to stamp my sentiments. And then it says, "This is a paper hug." Now the one last die cut that I actually do need to do is then taking in a piece of the white card. I'm going to go back to my die set here, and we're going to do this little banner. So if I pop that one in, using our low tack tape, and then I'm going to come back in with my plates here. I'm just going to pop it to the top so I can do my pause and reverse. Bring that one in. And this is a great thing as well, having that pause and reverse feature, is if you do skip a layer or you've forgotten to do a die cut layer, it takes no time at all to go back and do the die cut, and even if it is just a small piece there. So we can then take that one out. What we can then do is pop that out. We've got our banner all good to go. All that we then need to do now is come back in here with the stamps, and we're going to be using Sent with Love. So we're going to then pop that once again on my stamping platform. So we're just going to then get that straight. I'm going to go back in with my stamping mat. Now if you wanted to, you can stamp first and then die cut around. It's whatever way that you feel easier doing. But what we can then do is just do Sent with Love, stamp, and now it means we can bring back in our card blank. We can bring this one in, assemble it together. I've already cut a couple of layers for the side. Pattern paper, 2.5 inches by 5 inches. And I've also done a 1/4 inch matting layer with that green. So this one, what we can do, set that one over the top here, press that in. If we bring our tape in, this can go next to our teddy bear. That can then sit into here. We've got that white framework. I'm going to come back in with this little die cut tab that we've done, and I've also cut that to a specific size, which is 1.5 by 3 inches, and that's because that can mat and layer nicely right up to the top. So what we can then do is then we can add our tape on into place. Let's open this one up. Now with this one, what we're going to do, now I don't quite want to see that when the card is closed, so I'm going to set that to the side, which I'm happy. I'm then going to come in with this little panel, and what it does is it's breaking up that insert. So instead of that insert traditionally just having that sentiment, what we've got is we've got a lovely insert of pattern paper and cardstock. We've got that finished stamped sentiment. We've got a little bit of a die cut design. You can either write your message on the inside or on the back, so you've always got somewhere to actually write. And then all that we need to do is come back in with that second one that we've cut. This one, I'm going to add on foam pads, so we can then add our layer of pads all the way down. So as we come in, this is giving it a faux spine effect on the card. So if you think of the spines, that decorative spines that you've got on your memory albums, it's giving that sort of effect, but without the bulk. So we can then take these ones off with the layer of foam pads. We can then take that last one. This one then can go right up to that spine of the card. and hence why I cut it to the size I did, because it gives it that spine effect. And then this one here, what we can then do is we can come in. That can then, Scent with Love, can just sit nicely bang center in the middle. You've got that curvature that runs parallel to the teddy bear. And then there we go. There's our super cute but lovely card where we've combined die cutting, stamping, and of course colouring. That is just one of many different techniques that you'll be able to do and follow when it comes to the craft club. It is of course month number 4, and it's all about die cutting techniques.